Hey Divi Nation, thank you for joining us in this live stream. Today we'll show you how to create a sticky header with the Divi theme builder and the new sticky options. So if you haven't checked out Divi yet, be sure that you do. I've mentioned a link in the description below, and without any further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so I want to say hi to everyone on YouTube and on Facebook. If you guys have any questions throughout this live stream, make sure that you leave a comment and I'll be checking on those quite frequently to make sure you guys are following along. And before we get into all of the different steps, so the tutorial itself, let's take a quick look at the outcome across different screen sizes. So over here, I've built this header at the top, which includes a header bar and then a menu. So if I start scrolling now, you can notice that one of the bars in my header turns sticky as soon as I scroll past by it. So this is the effect we're aiming to achieve throughout this tutorial, and it looks quite similar on smaller screen sizes. I do also want to emphasize that we're changing the style of this bar over here when it turns sticky. So all of these things will be available within Divi itself. So we'll be able to achieve this without the use of any code. And you can basically apply this to any kind of header you want. So let's take a quick look at the outcome on smaller screen sizes as well. So over here, I have a mobile view. If I scroll, this will turn sticky. So if I click this, I have my menu items, and same goes for a static state. So we're recreating this from scratch using the Divi theme builder. So if you haven't set up a WordPress website yet, go ahead and do that. Grab one close by so you can follow along this tutorial. So the first thing you will need to do is go to the Divi theme builder. So that's where we're going to build our global header. And to get there, you need to go to Divi theme builder. All right, so someone's saying that the sound is a little bit low. Can you just let me know if you guys are hearing me a little better right now? And my settings are at almost the maximum sound, so it should be good. All right, so over here within the Divi theme builder, I have a header already set up for my entire website, so the global header, which is the one that I've shown you guys in the preview. And then I've created a separate template for a specific page over here that doesn't have the header enabled on it yet. So I will be recreating this on this particular template from scratch, step by step. So over here, to start building the new header for this particular template, I'm going to click on Add Custom Header and then click on Build Custom Header. All right, so over here we get 3 options. We're gonna start building from scratch by clicking on the first item over here. Now within the template editor, I have a section already, so I'm gonna use that section to start building the first part of the header, which is the top bar that has some social network icons and a button. So to start preparing the container, I'm going to open the section settings and I'll add a gradient background first. All right, so I'm going to add 2 colors. Let's start with the first one. These are the particular color codes that we're using, but you're free to use any kind of colors you want, obviously. You can also download the entire header template by going to the blog post in the description below. There you will also be able to find all of the different steps written step by step, so you can follow along everything, copy the color codes and all of that. All right, so I'm going to change the gradient direction to 90 degrees. So we're starting off by styling the elements within our header, and then at the end of the tutorial, we'll make the sticky effect apply. So I'm using 50% for the start position, 50% for the end position. And then in the design tab, I'm going to remove all default top and bottom padding by adding 0 pixels to both options. And now I can add a row. So we're using a row with 2 columns just to have these two show up next to each other. Before adding the modules, I'm going to open the row settings. Over here in the sizing settings, I'm going to enable custom gutter width and put this to 1. This will just remove all of the space between our columns. I'm also going to increase the width to 95% and the max width to 2580 pixels. So that's more or less full width on most devices. And we're claiming 95% of the max width. All right, and in the spacing settings, we're going to play around with the top and bottom padding. So these are just some spacing settings that will allow our header to breathe a little bit at the top and the bottom. And just to make sure that these two columns appear next to each other on smaller screen sizes, I'm going to add one line of CSS code to the row's main element that says display flex. And this will just, if I go to the mobile preview over here, this will just help us ensure that these two remain next to each other on smaller screen sizes as well. All right, now we can add our first module, starting with a social media follow module in column 1. In the preview, you can see that there's no background for each one of these social networks. So let me just add another one here as well, so you can customize this however you want. And we're going to remove the background colors of each one of these icons individually. You can also extend these styles, but I just don't see it as a lot of effort to go in each one of them individually. So you could just remove the background color and then copy the social network styles and paste them onto the other 2 social networks, if that's your preferred way of working. And over here in the icon settings, in the design tab, I'm going to change the icon color. So this particular style works really nice with the firm layout bag, which is part of Divi, which you can download for free, use for free. But you can customize this however you want. In the second part of this tutorial, we'll turn this second header bar sticky with Divi's built-in sticky options. Over here in the spacing settings, we're also going to add 5 pixels to the top margin. And then we can move on to the button module in column 2. Add some copy of our choice. Make sure that you add a link here as well. Then in the design tab, we'll change the button alignment to right to make sure that this is placed on the right side of our header bar. And within the button settings, we're going to make some changes to the style of our button to make it match with the law firm layout bag. So if you want to recreate this step by step, you can find all of these settings and color codes in the blog post, which is mentioned in the description below as well, or you can just read them off the screen. All right, so let me just add this as a border color as well. I'm going to add some letter spacing, 4 pixels. We'll use a bold font weight. We're enabling uppercase as well. And then in the spacing settings, I'm going to add 10 pixels to the top and the bottom padding values. Just like that. Let me just go back to the button settings, and over here I'm going to remove the border radius. So I'll put 0 pixels for this option over here. All right, so now that we have the first header bar, we can add the following one, and we'll dedicate an entire new section to that. So a regular section. And again, before adding any elements to this section, we're going to make some changes to itself first. Over here, we'll start with a gradient background. Let me just add the color code. So the first color we're using is just plain white and in a very light gray color as well. Over here, we're changing this to 90 degrees, 25% for the start and end position. So this will just create this kind of visual effect, as you can see over here. We'll move on to the design tab and we'll remove all default top and bottom padding by adding 0 pixels to both options. So now that we have the general section settings in place, we can add a new row. The only module we'll place within this row is a menu module, so we'll only need one column. Now, before adding that module, we're going to open the row settings and we're going to allow the row to take up almost the entire width of the section container by enabling use custom gutter width over here. Place this to 1 and we'll increase the max width to 2580 pixels. In the spacing settings, we're playing with the top and bottom padding. So we're adding 10 pixels to both options. That will give us enough breathing space for the menu, but not too much space so that it becomes, too much of a big part in the header navigation experience. All right, now we can add the menu module. So let me just add that over here. So select a menu of your choice, obviously. Then you can upload a logo, whichever you want. Make sure that you remove the background color as well. So normally there's a white background color here. Let me just, I'm gonna see if I can find a better logo. Let me just save this elsewhere and then I'll add it to the library. Give me 1 second. All right, so I'll be able to upload this. Select this from my media library very soon. Okay, I'll need to refresh this first. Let me just save this really quick so I can select another icon that doesn't look so bulky. All right. Let me re-enter the template and select the new logo just so it doesn't ruin the look and feel of the design that we're creating. All right, here we have it. So after we've removed the background color, so the default white background color, will go to the menu text settings. And over here, we're gonna select a bold font weight. Again, this matches the law firm layout pack really well. We'll change the menu text color. This is the color code that we're using, or you can find it in the blog post mentioned in the description below. We'll change the menu text size to 15 pixels and the letter spacing to 4 pixels. And we'll choose a right text alignment. So this will place our menu items on the right side of our row. Next, we'll make some changes to the drop-down menu settings. So starting with the background color, which is white, and then a line color, which is the following color code, this kind of navy blue color. And then we'll go to the icons settings and we'll change these as well. into that same blue color, which you can find in the blog post, which is mentioned in the description below if you don't want to type it over. So next we'll go to the sizing settings, and over here we'll assign a max height to our logo. So we'll use 60 pixels. And now that we have the header in place, so all of the elements, it's time to turn this sticky. So let me just refresh this over here so you guys can see what it looks like without the sticky effects enabled on it. So now if we pass by, it just stays at the top. What we're aiming to create is the following effect. So if we scroll past it, it turns sticky and the change in style is also applied. Same on smaller screen sizes. So this is very mobile friendly, if that's the way to put it. And the first thing that you will need to do to turn that second section sticky is open the section settings over here. So the second section, go to the advanced tab, and in the scroll effects over here, you can select stick to top. This 0 pixels sticky top offset will just make sure that it sticks to the absolute top of your browser and that there's no place in between the browser where it starts and where your header starts. If you want to have some offset, you can definitely add any kind of amount of pixels here. Over here, the bottom sticky limit is none, so this will just continue throughout the entire scrolling process, throughout each one of the pages. And these two are also enabled as yes. You can determine a transition for the default and the sticky styles. And you can also make, if you have multiple sticky elements, you can create offset for those sticky elements, which in this case isn't really necessary, but we'll leave it as yes, just in case you are, turning other things sticky as well. So that's the first part. And let me just quickly see if now the sticky option for the styling has been enabled on our elements. So if I go to the background settings over here, and if I hover this at the top, a sticky icon should appear, which it does over here. So as soon as you turn an element sticky, an icon will appear that will allow you to define the sticky styles of the parent elements and all the child elements, which means that you can determine the style for your section, which is the sticky element in this header. But you can also determine sticky styles for all of the children within that parent element. So that means the row, the column, and the modules inside the section itself, which really gives you a lot of design possibilities. So you can tweak anything however you want and make it look different in a sticky state and in a default state. All right, so let's start with the first sticky styling that we'll make over here. So I'm going to click on this icon and switch over to the sticky modus. So as over here, if I hover this, it says sticky. So now I'm making changes within that state. We'll start with the first color of our gradient background and the second color. So this is the first thing we'll change within a sticky state. That's the section gradient background. If I save this over here and I refresh this, you can see that already taking place, right? So this was the first part. We turned it sticky and we changed the gradient background. All right, next we'll still need to make some other changes as well. We'll stretch the row, for instance, which you can notice over here. The row is kind of stretching in a sticky state. To do that, we'll move on to one of the other elements within the section itself. So this is a child of the section parent container. So that's why we can make sticky changes to this particular row. Over here in the sizing settings of the row, I'm going to modify the width in a sticky state. Let me just hover this over here and wait till it appears. All right, if I click on the sticky icon, I'll be able to move over to sticky state and change this to 95%. So now, as soon as it's turned sticky, it will kind of stretch. We're also removing the padding values, so the top and bottom padding, to create a shrinking kind of effect in a sticky state as well. So I'm just going to enable the sticky state here. So the approach is kind of similar, but you'll have to enable that sticky state on each kind of change that you want within the parent or child element. And then you can determine for yourself what kind of design changes that you're creating. So let me just preview what we have up until now. Here we have some of the changes that we've made up until now, and we still need to make some additional changes. One being the menu text color, because obviously we want this text to be light colored when it's in a sticky state. So let's move on to the menu module over here. And in the menu text settings, I'm gonna hover and click on the sticky icon, go to the sticky state, and I'm gonna use the following color in a sticky state. I'm also going to change the icons over here in the icons settings in a sticky state, just to make sure that it matches the new gradient background. So we're kind of reversing the colors here. We're making sure that all of the dark colors are light colors in a sticky state because of that gradient background that we used. So we're using a white color for each one of these. So the hamburger menu icon color, the search icon color, shopping cart icon color will all be turned into a white color on a dark gradient background when in a sticky state. And let's just see what we have up until now. And then we have one step left. Here it is. It already looks really good. And now something additional that you can do is remove the logo if you want it to be gone in a sticky state, as we've done in the preview over here. And to do that, we're just going to go to the sizing settings of our menu module, enable the sticky option on the logo max height, and put this to 0. So we're basically making this non-existent. While it's still there, we're just assigning a height of 0 pixels, which obviously prevents it from showing up. So it's still actually there, but it doesn't show up because it doesn't have any height. So if I refresh this now, we have the exact same outcome as in the preview of this tutorial. So these are just a few of the changes that you can make using the sticky settings. So you can basically turn any kind of Divi setting into a different styling in a sticky state. And we'll definitely keep handling all of the different possibilities that you have with Divi sticky options. So this is a preview of the menu on smaller screen sizes. Here we go. And just something extra I wanted to show you guys. You can also increase the duration of your transition over here, for instance. If you want this to take longer, you can play around with the transition duration and just fine-tune this however you want. So now it took a little longer for the menu text color to change and the menu icon to disappear, if you can notice the difference. You can apply a different transition duration to your row as well, into your section, and create something very, very unique. So I'm just going to take a quick look to see if you guys have any questions, and then we can call it a day. All right, I don't see any questions. Thank you guys for joining. I hope you liked this tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and we hope that you're enjoying this ongoing Divi design initiative where we try to put something extra into your design toolbox each and every week. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.